Today we celebrate Mother's Day. So who is Jesus talking about in the gospel? The Father, of course. And so I'm going to talk about the Father today. But don't worry, hang in there, mothers. I'm going to talk about you too. And just think about that. And Jesus tells his disciples that, that if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And Philip says, show us the Father. And Jesus gets frustrated. We really hear him get frustrated today. Philip, how long have you been with me? Basically, he is saying. And you still have not seen the Father? If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. You have seen the works of the Father. You've seen me do what the Father does. All these things. And Jesus is trying to give us in his life the image of the Father. Everything that Jesus done, if you really think about it, has been trying to give us the image of the Father. The way that he is loving and caring for everyone, the sick, everyone, the poor. The way that he has been a father to the disciples and the apostles. That's what he's been, has he not? And the way that he showed us the Father's love on the cross. That's what a good father does, is he lays down his life for his children. Jesus has been all about showing us the good Father. Now, why is Jesus connecting to that? Why does Jesus so much wants to give us a good image of Father? Well, throughout history, throughout human history, the largest wound throughout history has been the father wound. Wound? We all have our wounds growing up in our life from our childhood, do we not? We all have our wounds. And history is replete, most of all, with the father wound. Fathers who were absent or distant or the reverse, overbearing or abusive, mentally, physically, sexually, emotionally. History is replete with bad fathers. And I'm not saying that all fathers are bad, but Jesus is trying to show us a different kind of father, that we can turn to the good Father in God. And I just think of the father wound, and one big example of that is that it's a true story that this chaplain, his first year at a prison, Mother's Day came along, and the inmates were inundating him with requests for Mother's Day cards, requesting that, so much so that he had to scramble to get enough Mother's Day cards. And so he Father's Day was a month away, and he thought to himself, well, I'm going to be prepared for Father's Day, and I'm going to get a whole bunch of Father's Day cards. And as Father's Day came, none of the inmates, hardly any of them, requested Father's Day cards. So deep is the wound. And quite possibly part of the explanation of why they were there in the first place. So deep is that wound. Jesus is trying to give us an image of what a good father is, to heal that wound. We all innately know what a good mother is? Who do we turn to first in our spirituality, the beginning of our spirituality? Maybe I'm being biased, but what I see so many people turn to, they turn to the perfect mother, Mary. Where most of us start out, isn't it? With Mary and our spirituality, the good mother. Because we know in Mary we can see someone who is always there, like God. Someone who is always caring, like God. Someone who is always nurturing, like God. Motherhood is not a foreign thing to God. Good mothers come from God, emanate from God. Where did Mary come from? Mary came from God. Put two and two together. God is the good father and the good mother. And so, what's the point today? The point today is to learn from God, who is the good father and the good mother. That we can learn from God in how to parent ourselves. Most of our life, for most people, are reacting to that father's wound or that mother's wound for some of us. Are reacting to that. And we either reacting by becoming that person, that overbearing person or that distant person, or we are reacting in the reverse. Our parents were overbearing, so we are becoming too lenient in our life. You know, why is it that one generation is conservative and the next generation is liberal? Isn't it just a reaction? Have you ever thought about that? We are to learn how to be good parents. Good parents to ourselves and to our children. But really first, in order for us to be a good parent to our children, we have to learn how to be good parents to ourselves. To learn from God how to love ourselves unconditionally and how to have healthy discipline. It's both. We need those both in our life. Otherwise, our life goes out of control. That we can learn from God, who is the good parent. Being Mother's Day, as an aside, I thought I'd share with you the image of a good mother. And I brought with me a little poem to demonstrate that. And the poem is, Before I Was a Mom. Before I was a mom, I made and ate hot meals. I had unstained clothing. I had quiet conversations on the phone. Before I was a mom, I slept as late as I wanted and never worried about how late I got into bed. I brushed my hair and my teeth every day. Before I was a mom, I cleaned my house each day. I never tripped over toys or forgot words to lullabies. Before I was a mom, I didn't worry whether or not my plants were poisonous. I never thought about immunizations. Before I was a mom, I'd never been puked on, pooped on, spit on, chewed on, peed on, or pinched by tiny fingers. Before I was a mom, I had complete control of my mind, my thoughts, and my body. I slept all night. Before I was a mom, I never held down a screaming child so that doctors could do tests or give shots. I never looked in the teary eyes and cried. I never got gloriously happy over a simple grin. I never sat up late hours at night watching a baby sleep. Before I was a mom, I never held a sleeping baby just because I didn't want to put it down. I never felt my heart break into a million pieces when I couldn't stop the hurt. I never knew that something so small could affect my life so much. I never knew that I could love someone so much. I never knew I could love being a mom. Before I was a mom, I didn't know the feeling of having my heart outside my body. I didn't know how special it could feel to feed a hungry baby. I didn't know that something so small could make me feel so important. Before I was a mom, I had never gotten up in the middle of the night every 10 minutes to make sure all was okay. I had never known the warmth, the joy, the love, the heartache, the wonder, or the satisfaction of being a mom. I didn't know I was capable of loving, feeling so much before I was a mom. Happy Mother's Day.